Hey, welcome to AnimeCons TV. This is our year in review episode for 2016. And I'm here with Doug.
Hey, hey.
Elizabeth.
Hey, everyone.
Shiva and Sketch.
Hello. Hi.
And special guest Ruben.
Hi.
And so we're here to talk about the past year of conventions and our experience with them. And so we'll just start off and give some history of our last year, where I personally went to 13 conventions, more than one a month. That's a new record. My previous was 11. That's a lot of cons. The new conventions I went to LumaCon, Silicon Valley Comic Con, Wizard World, KinyubiCon, Wine Country Comic Con, and Santa Rosa Toy and Comic Con. And I did con reports on all of those, so if you want to know about them, go look at our episode guide. So what about you guys?
I went to 10, which I think is about average for me. I went to 2 new ones. I went to Massive Comic Con in Worcester, Massachusetts. Then I went to this little show called Plastic City Comic Con in Leominster, Massachusetts. And which was a short little one-day thing in the town I used to live, so that was pretty cool. And then I went to the usual ones that I go to every year too.
I was down a little this year. I only went to 7, and I think part of that was just life in general happening and just other plans. And I actually took a real vacation this year, so that ate up a lot of my budget for cons. The one new one I did was actually a brand new con, the Anime Fan Fest in New Jersey, which that was a fun one.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, out of my 13, most of them were one day, so I didn't have to take time off for a lot of them. So.
Yeah, we don't usually go to nearly that many, but we went to fewer than normal. We went to our big 3. We went to Katsu, AB, and Dragon Con, but we also went to Japan. So we were there.
That was over 2 weeks of Japan, so that's got to count for at least a few more cons, right?
Yes.
I'll take it.
And you did that cool report on the Sailor Moon Expo, too.
Yeah, and that was
awesome.
awesome. And we actually have some moments from that, too, so.
And Rue, how about you?
I made it to, we'll call it 2.5. I staffed PortCon Maine, and then I went to 2 new ones, another AnimeCon and the Bangor Comic and Toy Con. Pretty fun time.
That's right, you didn't go to Boston, did you?
Couldn't do Boston. Work made a lot of things not happen this year.
Right. Yeah.
Yet you still signed me up for a contract to be a magical girl.
I have no idea what you mean.
So let's talk about favorite convention moment. My favorite moment was the final Chibi Project panel at Anime Boston. It was very special because last December we lost Liz, and so it was tough at some points, and I got choked up. I'm starting to get choked up here. But I'm glad we have the entire thing on video, and even if it did take way too long to post part 2, and as of this recording I still haven't posted it, I'm looking for some footage. I can't find it, but so that's my favorite convention moment. You guys?
I'm not. This isn't my favorite moment, but I'll get into that. But I have to say that was one of my favorite parts of just Anime Boston was when you came into ConOps and gave me the bunny from the experiment I helped with. That meant a lot to me. So that was like
the one that was on the front of the car.
Yeah, so that was a neat, unexpected moment. So, and then I guess I'll get into kind of my favorite moments since I'm hogging the mic right now. So I've been doing a lot more stuff with the 501st and Rebel Legion this year, and that's how I kind of did a lot of the cons. And back in January, we locally for the New England Garrison and Alderaan Base, which is the 501st and Rebel Legion contingents down here, and they work very close together. They're pretty much the exact same group. We lost a member to cancer, and after a little bit of discussion, we kind of said our goal for fundraising this year will be to raise money for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in memory of our member Justin Manning. And the initial goal was, we'll try for like 3,000, so that way we can get a small memorial at Dana-Farber. And then we hit 3,000, and then we hit 5,000, and then Rhode Island Comic-Con, which was just a couple of weeks ago, kind of the end of our convention season for the year. Our total fundraising for the convention season went over $10,000. And my friend Eric, who's been on the podcast and is the commanding officer for both groups here, it wasn't the day I was at Rhode Island Comic-Con, but someone posted video of him announcing it on Facebook. He's there standing over some Death Star walls that we built, and just seeing the reaction of the crowd and kind of all of our members knowing how much hard work and how much dedication that took to pull off, between getting props to conventions, getting people, getting attendees to make donations, putting together charity raffle baskets. It was such a neat moment to see that not only did we make our goal, but we just obliterated it and really went even further. And it was such a good feeling to be kind of part of that. That it meant a lot to a lot of us.
Wow, over three times the goal. That's
impressive. And the question is, like, now what do we do? And other than that, just keep doing it even bigger and better. But it was awe-inspiring.
Well, Doug and I started off with downers for favorite moments too. I hope you guys have more positive ones.
Oh my god, I have the best story. So my favorite convention moment took place kind of outside the convention. So at Boston Comic Con, my friends and I were staying at the Seaport Hotel, which is across the street from where the event is. So like Saturday afternoon, we were in the room and we went to leave, and there was a wedding going on at the Seaport that weekend. Lucky them. So I think the mother of the bride and 2 or 3 of the bridesmaids were waiting for us waiting on our floor with us for the elevator. And the bridesmaids all had strapless dresses, and one of them is like tugging at it, and she's like saying, "Oh, my dress isn't fitting." Da 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 da. And she turns around and she mentions like the hook and eye broke, and like I'm looking at it, and I go, "I can fix that." Like literally to her, I say, "I can fix it." She looks at me, she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, we probably have spare hook and eye in the room. It'll take me like 5 minutes." So we brought her. She's all glammed up. Her hair's done. Like we bring her into her room, which is full of all this cosplay crap, which is a little embarrassing. So I think she had the hook, so we needed the eye. So I sewed the hook in, and what was really funny was we had the little sewing kit from the hotel because it already has pre-threaded needles, so I didn't have to do that. One of the colors of thread perfectly matched her dress, which was cool. So I stitched in the eye on the other side, and I hooked it together, and it looked like a million times better. And she was all excited, and she gave us all a big hug and ran off to wherever she needed to be. So, and I'm just like, holy crap, I actually did that. So yeah, I fixed a random bridesmaid dress at Boston Comic Con, which was pretty funny and really kind of strange, because you hear all these stories about weddings or other events being at the same time like a anime or Comic Con is, and you always think it's like, oof, feels bad for those people, but like, or this is like literally the only event that could have gone on, like one of the few events that could have gone on simultaneous as wedding, where someone could have fixed her dress. And like, I'm glad she didn't have to worry about like lifting it up all the time during the whole event. I hope it stayed on, but yeah, that was really cool.
Elizabeth, cosplay hero.
Heroes of cosplay, right there.
So yeah, that was it wasn't actually at the convention, but that was like by far my favorite convention moment.
So mine is like, I don't know, is it uplifting or not? Mine was watching Brie cry at the Sailor Moon Expo because she was so happy to be there.
She weeped so hard.
So like our friend, like a friend in like a lot of girls like our age, they have like a lot of like childhood feelings about Sailor Moon, but for her they're particularly intense. And we had done a lot to make sure she could go to this thing. We had done a lot of like pre-planning because we really did not want to like have her miss out on this opportunity to go. And so we're all excited, and it was near the end of our trip, and we show up there, and she just like bursts out into tears, and like we go and see like Usagi's dress, and like it's more, and it was so cute. And the best part of that is that our other friend Liz, who's a little more laid back, this girl starts crying, and Liz just goes, "Oh God." It's just so funny. It was perfect. But it made me happy. We had a really good time. And it was kind of nice to go to the Sailor Moon Expo with all the girls I cosplay Sailor Moon with. So, except for Elizabeth.
Whatever. I bought a house instead.
Oh.
Mine isn't so, as epic as all these other ones, but I think actually my favorite moment was actually judging the Anime Boston Masquerade. Now, this is my first time judging the Anime Boston Masquerade. It's the Masquerade I got my start in. Masquerade I contributed to one way or another, either helping behind stage or competing several years. So it was nice to be the judge. But before we got anything started, I was kind of just casually talking to everyone else, and it was kind of heartwarming that some of these people actually remembered who I was without having to see the video that we showed of like previous skits I did at AB. They did that for the judges this year, but it was just really nice because it kind of was like a kind of a full circle for me for Anime Boston.
You got a good Masquerade to judge the first one too. Masquerade at AB was really good last year. Yeah.
Made it a little tough in deliberation, but we got through it.
I didn't realize that they had put like a little thing together with video of your previous appearances. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we debated about if it should be at the beginning of the Masquerade or just before we come out to give the awards. But we did that. We did it after the awards, and it was pretty cool. I think could be a little shorter, but
yeah. But I thought it was nice to show the contestants who was judging. Like it's kind of like you go and compete at these things, and you have no idea who these people are. They're like, I mean, at least the craftsmanship judges, a lot of times they're wearing costumes. So you're like, oh, they kind of know. But like when you're doing the performances, it's kind of random. It's like, do these people have any idea? And it's so nice to like know who's.
We actually showed the Vash skit from 2004.
Oh my God, they found it?
Put in like old time filter with like the little lines that pop through.
Like grandpa cosplay.
back when that was considered a skit.
But all right, so my favorite moment was it's not anime, but I'll go anyway. At the Bangor Comic and Toy Con, I got to meet Nichelle Nichols, which was a huge deal for me. I paid the money to meet her and get a picture and get an autograph and all that stuff, and I had it all together. I was going to impress Nichelle Nichols. I got as far as, hey, it's nice to meet you. Can you please sign this over to my wife? And I then lost all command of the English language. She made a very nice gesture to talk about how pretty my wife's name was. And I thought of everything I could. I got all my poetry together and responded with a very blank, yeah. And but it was still great. Even with all that, it's hung in my wall. I probably should have like my family photos hung up. What I've got is Art and Nichelle Nichols on the wall upstairs. It's fine. It's fine though.
All right. Now that's favorite convention moment. Least favorite. I'll go first. Mine. Spring Kraken Con 2016. I don't know if anybody noticed. I recorded 2 episodes there. One was a feedback episode, and one was the con report with Shin and Morse. During that, I was very, very sick. And I actually wouldn't, and Svet was sick too, and I actually wouldn't have gone to the convention. I would have just stayed home. But she was a guest, and she had a table, and she needed help running a table, so we spent most of the time either just sitting at the table or in the hotel room. But, it was such a miserable experience. If you're sick at a convention, stay home. I didn't have a choice. I had to be there because she was a guest, and people were going there to see her. So, but yeah, lots of, Purell. It was miserable. I still liked the convention, but it's miserable. Anybody else?
I feel you.
Oh God, easy. Mine's easy, and it's two events. It's the lines that were caused by the unnecessary extra security at both Anime Boston and PAX East. I know we covered this in the AB. I covered this in the AB report, and then I don't do a report on PAX because I'm too busy playing too many video games to do a report. But yeah, it was bad, and I think just completely unneeded and unnecessary. And I keep meaning to find out. There's a big marketing conference they have every fall at the BCEC, and I wanted to see if the hand metal detector is there too, or if it was just for these two events, because why not? So I don't know what's going on next year for those, if they're back or whatever, but yeah, it was not fun. I'm glad I didn't press pass Anime Boston because it got me in the secret entrance and I'm not going to say where it is, but yeah. PAX was able to fix it better because they have they have more entrances, basically, and a bigger facility, but that was just bad. And yeah, not fun when
Yeah.
you want to go outside at Anime
Yeah, it
Boston
wasn't
and you're in
good.
cosplay.
Hopefully it can be fixed. It wasn't good.
Fingers crossed.
Mine was at KatsuCon this year. I had finally, for the first time after like 4 years of trying to, wore my Shiva costume, and I was so excited. And I got in the elevator, and the elevator went right to the lobby, which was bad sign number one. And I was like, oh, we got a good elevator. And the doors opened, and the staff member met us at the doors and were like, please go to your left and evacuate the building. And it was because of the fire that they had in the cafe right at that moment, the main cafe right at that moment, which was like the whole Fire Nation attack at Katsu. So I literally have finally gotten this costume after 4 years, and I had to immediately go outside into like gale force winds and like sub-zero temperatures, and everybody like crowding into me and getting stuck in my hair. And I was like the most miserable human being. And we ran into the hotel across the street. We get stuck in like this breakfast buffet, and I was just like so uncomfortable and miserable, and it took all the fun out of like getting into it out of it. And the people like really nice and sympathetic. Like I don't want to. Everybody was super awesome about it, but it was just not fun at all. And so then by the time we got back in the building, I think I wore it for an hour, and I'm like, I have to get out of this.
I think that was kind of the what's the word, like not savings grace, but like I feel like it was handled really well, and I feel like all the attendees like just kind of went with it and evacuated. And like I know like when you guys left and you said the fire alarm was going off, I was still in the hotel room getting into my costume and I didn't hear it. I think it took me another 10 minutes and I'm like, I should probably leave. and like my costume barely had like, it had this like little short skirt. No, I went outside. It was awful. At least I could grab a coat, but I think the way the attendees handled it was very nice to see. Like everyone's kind of looking out for each other. The hotel is like handing out tablecloths to people when they're going outside so they could cover up, because you know everyone has all these costumes on that they're not planning to go outside in. So I think considering what it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and the staff handled it good too. And even when we were coming back in, I kind of got stuck in like the crush, and like one of the EMT people like pulled me out of it. Like, and they were and like made sure I was okay and let us go to the bar area before they had opened it to like everybody else. So it was the best possible case scenario. It certainly wasn't the fault of anyone, but it was just like a shitty situation. So.
Well, since you're talking kitchen issues, I'll lead into my least favorite moment, which was at Spring Mega Fest, which is, a local con to us here in Massachusetts. It's not so much even a con as so much kind of the autograph show and dealers room. But one of their guests was Peter Mayhew, also better known as Chewbacca, which of course, the 501st Rebel Legion, we kind of have a tradition of we always invite the guests out to dinner. We say, hey, you want to just have a good dinner, we'll take you out. But because he's older and he has some mobility issues, our only option for a place to go was the restaurant within the hotel itself. And I don't know if people called out or what, but they were just terribly understaffed. And we had a group of, I'd say probably 20 people, plus Peter and his son. And we waited, like we made reservations. We called in advance. We did everything we could to make sure this was going to happen. And we waited for 90 minutes and only Peter and like 2 other people at his table ever got food. And that was after 90 minutes of waiting. And the only reason that he got food was the member who kind of organized everything went back to the kitchen and started basically yelling at the staff, asking what the hell happened. And I mean, and the manager ended up just, it was like, do we stay? Because we put in our order. Do we stay? What do we do? And like the manager on duty is like, no, just go. And we didn't have to pay for it. But 90 minutes, no food. And it's the hotel that's connected, or the restaurant connected to the hotel that's hosting the event. So it's not like they don't know what's going on. They know it's a busy week and they know they need more staff, and they completely dropped the ball. And a lot of us were super frustrated. I mean, fortunately, Peter Mayhew and his son are awesome people. Knew it wasn't our fault. We're still happy to pose for a picture with us and everything, but it was still incredibly frustrating, especially from the venue that knows better. If it had been another place down the road, maybe we'd be a little more patient, but this is the venue that's hosting the event, and they didn't know better, and that just soured us all.
It's not the first time the place has had that event either.
Right, exactly.
That's terrible. 90 minutes. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, 90 minutes, and then we gave up. I don't even want to imagine how long it might have taken if we had decided to wait.
Yeah, were there other people there? Were they swamped?
Yeah.
It seems like they just ignored you.
I think the story I got like secondhand was the people who were taking our orders never entered it into the system or something like that, which is even more amateurish of a mistake. But like, I got a beer from the bar because I walked up there and got it. I never actually got like the one I ordered from the waitress and things like that. It was ridiculous.
Who's next?
I can talk about was at the Sailor Moon exhibit in Japan. So obviously everyone loves Sailor Moon. A lot of our friends do that didn't go, and they found out that they're going to have basically selling all sorts of Sailor Moon merchandise exclusive to this show. And so I had a lot of cash from several people and a whole shopping list of stuff to get, and I got in there and they were picked clean. And it's been about a month that they've been running the show. We're right in the middle of it, and they're picked clean. And so I'm going through and I'm looking through everything, and the only thing I could find is like a stationery set. It's like this big. And then they said, for the exclusive items, we will mail it to you. And they're like, oh, okay. So I went in line to check, get these, little wands mailed to me. And then they go, oh, no, only if you have a Japanese address. So not only did they have the language barrier, but I had to go through all that to find out, no, you can't. None for you. And I ended up having to leave completely empty-handed. And I'm just like, oh, I feel bad because came all this way, and
people were so excited to
so excited
give you their money.
Yeah. I didn't even I thought I was gonna be like, oh, bye, repay me. They're like, no, here's my money. I figured it out in the tax. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll go buy it. But it was just a little disappointing considering they really underestimated the draw they were probably gonna get for this little store. So not really the worst, but I didn't like it.
And Rue, you get a moment?
So, do I name I'm not going to name the person, but there was a guest at Bangor Comic and Toy Con who had the opposite experience with. I don't know if she was having a bad day, but I've never been treated that way that I can think of. It was really unpleasant to the point where it stuck with me. And I hope whatever was going on got better. but I wasn't even directly engaging this person. It ended up kind of being shouted at, and it was a weird thing. So it's a short story, but man, I wasn't happy about it.
All right.
You're gonna tell us after we wrap, right?
Right? Off air.
Sure.
Recording.
We need a name.
Who has wronged you?
So the favorite costume of 2016, mine is obviously nothing because I had no new costumes. Although Padre did help me on an episode of Know How upgrade the lights in my Doctor Who hand in a jar. So that was cool.
I finally did my mashup cosplay I've been wanting to do for several years now. You can guess half of it. But as a picture will show up, I did a mashup of Assassin's Creed and Link from Zelda. I either called it Hyrulean Creed or Assassin's Link. It was just a really fun thing. It was like a solution for me because I don't really feel like I could pull off Link anyway. I am a little too tall, a little too butch, and not a pretty man. So I thought this was a nice compromise. And when I first saw someone who just colored the Assassin's Creed 2 game cover, I was like, all right, I got to do it. But I was very happy I was able to finally make a Hyrulean shield, and I had the Master Sword and everything, and I even had the blade. So I was happy about that. That was my favorite costume.
Very cool costume.
It came out really good. I made Hyrule Warrior Zelda to go with it, and I love that, and that was so much work that I want it to be my favorite costume, but I feel like after 4 years of finally getting Shiva to work, that this has to be my favorite because it worked. I don't know. I'm never going to make anything like that ever again.
I still have the dragon from Final Fantasy in my shed.
Someday we'll fix Bahamut too, but that's what she was here.
I guess I'll hop on the Zelda train because my favorite costume was Princess Hilda from Link Between Worlds, which I'd want to make for a couple years, and then I finally just busted that one out in a couple weeks at the beginning of the year, and I wore it a few times. I wore it to like 4 conventions this year, which was great, and I love it. I love purple, and I think it came out really great. It's one of my favorite costumes I've ever made.
It's my favorite costume you've ever made.
The thing that stood out about to me was how good the wig looked for that.
I'm not like the biggest. The wig is too warm. I was having this discussion with I worked with a photographer with it at AAC. I'm like, it's too warm. I need it in a more cool tone. I probably won't even bother. But if I had to rebuy the wig, I would get a more cool tone purple than what I got. Plus, it tingles like crazy.
Okay, so I'll take my foot out of my mouth now and say the only new costume I made was I did Professor Birch from Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, or I did because I was doing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and it was a costume that I was just kind of looking at and like, that'll be really easy to put together. Plus, I could wear sandals and shorts and have like a messenger bag as part of my costume. This will be really comfortable. And I wore it for a pretty long time at Otakon, and it was super easy to wear. I got people that were either playing because Pokemon Go was so huge, or just other people that were other Pokemon professors. You just kind of walked around and you just kind of gave each other, one of these, friendly nods, like, you're all in on the joke and stuff. But it was simple. I think the most expensive thing I got was a Rayquaza plushie that was, has like a wire in it so you can bend it. And I think that was the most expensive part of the costume. It was super simple, but it's kind of a nice reminder that it doesn't always have to cost a lot of money to make a fun, good-looking costume. And that's why I really enjoyed it.
Rue, you mentioned you had a costume.
I some friends and I have always joked about the whole Gabe Newell from Valve thing, but this year I went and found myself a case of 8.25-inch floppy disks and handed out discs for Half-Life 3, which is going to come out in like 100 years. I don't know why I didn't think people at some of these conventions wouldn't get it. A lot of people got it. I ran out of discs. I had a lot more fun than I thought I was going to have going into that.
And the discs were labeled like 1 of 500,000 or something, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're only good for like $256K each.
And one of those discs is currently on the set of Tech News Today at Twit.
Yeah, it is. That made me so happy.
It's next to the Horseboy statue.
Excellent.
I remember when I saw like open Facebook and I saw the picture of that costume, I was dying laughing. That was seriously well done, man.
It's a good gag.
Let's see. We've next on our list we have the favorite guest of 2016. I really didn't have one other than my wife at KrakenCon, PortCon Maine, and LumaCon. So.
No, I didn't really have one either. Mine kind of ties into the next thing we're going to talk about. It was the cast of Your Lie in April. Anime Boston was really great, but I'll talk more about that as for my event thing.
Mine was Joey Fatone at Dragon Con.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I didn't interact with too many guests, but I did go to. I got Kazuki Akane's autograph at Otakon. He directed, among other things, Escaflowne, so I got him to sign this special edition box set I got for when that first came out in America. And that was I was surprised how short his line was. Like part of me was regretting not bringing a second thing to see if I could hop back in the line and get that side as well. But one of the neater things was being able to, in the little bit of Japanese I know, being able to say, you can write my name in Japanese, it's okay, because it's a little hard to figure out how the English one sounds if you don't know it. And just the kind of smile and I got from him being able to understand that was really neat. And it was just a neat one because Escaflowne was one of the early things that as I was really starting to get into anime fandom that really kind of formed a lot of my things. And of course, giant robots, I'm going to like it.
I guess mine was Uhura. Like I said, that was a really big deal for me. And even though I lost all command of how to use words, it was just awesome to meet her. I'm glad I got to do it while she's still with us.
I don't have one.
All right, and let's see. Favorite AtCon thing of 2016. Oh, wait, Elizabeth, did you have a guest?
Yeah, well, mine's the same as my AtCon event, so I can double up on that. So I went to the Your Lie in April panel Anime Boston with a bunch of the English voice cast, some of the director, and then the Japanese director, and another part of the team for that. And it was really awesome. And like my anime viewing has gone like down to like not much. So this kind of re-sparked it for me. And so Your Lie in April. Also, what was really big about it for me was it has a lot to do with music because the main character plays the piano and then the other main character plays violin. And with music as such a huge part of my life, it really, really resonated with me. So it was really cool to be introduced to the show and hear the cast talk about how much they absolutely loved it, and it was so sincere and genuine. It reminds me of how the Firefly cast talks about the way about their experience with the show is in how much it affected them, and how great the Japanese team thought the American team did on it. Was they had nothing but great compliments to say. And I'd watch the show again, but it'll probably kill me again, so I'm gonna try and just maybe watch a different music show, which is Sound Euphonium, which is just silly marching band goodness. So yeah, that was definitely my favorite at con event by far. It was really cool.
Let's see. Mine, it would have to be Weird Al at BluesCon. Now, I've seen Weird Al play a couple times before, including once when Doug was on stage dancing with him, wearing, well, not that helmet, but somebody else's, as part of the 501st. But yeah, his his concerts are always a ton of fun, and so seeing him there at BluesCon with this massive audience, much bigger than the North Shore Music Theater, that was so much fun. And I was with some friends who had never seen him live before, and they didn't know what to expect, and they loved it as well. But also at BluesCon, StarCraft 2, I have never found myself cheering for esports before. I always thought, oh, it's because people playing games. I don't understand Twitch. I don't know why that's so popular. But yet, I found myself going to the StarCraft 2 finals and sitting down and watching it and actually cheering for one of the players who I didn't know before, but I was like, oh my god, yes! And I really got into it. I loved watching that StarCraft 2 final. It was so much fun. And it made me want to go home and play StarCraft 2.
I've got one and two halves, which I realize is two. But the first is the kind of the punk music, Japanese punk music panel I went to at Otakon. Just because this was, I think I said this in my Otakon Con report, it was something different. It was a content that you hadn't really seen before, but still really tied to Japanese culture and stuff like that. So it still was relevant to the con. It wasn't like just tossed in there like some cons will just kind of take any old panel. It was still very much connected to anime and manga. And the other one I will say is both Darius Washington at Anime Fan Fest New Jersey and Daryl Surratt at Otakon. Both of them, just kind of in a weird instance of parallel thinking, did panels on anime made in 1986. And as it turns out, 1986 was a really good year for anime. Like, a lot of neat stuff came out. And it was interesting to see which ones they chose and how some things overlapped and some things didn't. But it was interesting because you don't really see a lot of stuff of focusing on a specific year. And now I'm really curious to see if next year we'll see another batch of anime of 30 years ago. I'm not sure how good 1987 was for anime, but maybe we'll see the same sort of thing. And I'd love to see that happen. So both of those were kind of my two favorite events, and I couldn't choose one over the other, but I thought they were both good ideas.
I got one. So used to do panels and everything like that, but what about 3D printing? What about 3D printing, which is now way bigger and more accessible for cosplayers?
Yeah.
So I ended up going to a 3D printing panel at DragonCon, and it was really cool because I didn't realize it, but two of the panelists were people I either followed on YouTube or actually made the for my Assassin's Link. I got it started and I modified it a little bit to make it look more like the Master Sword. And it was like, oh, wow. So that was really great. And I'm like, oh, cool. I can get into this. And this isn't going to happen anytime soon because I got to get better at actually rendering things on my computer. But it was really cool to see where things got to in the last few years. That like there's 3D printing communities where if you don't have a 3D printer, you can go on this forum and they might find someone who's like 10 miles away but has a 3D printer and you can lease it out.
Send them a file.
Send them a file and they'll print it out for you for dirt cheap. So
who are the people doing the panel?
Cool. I feel really bad at it now. Like I forget their names off the top of my head, but
you follow one of them.
well, the one I actually got is a guy. His production name is Amra Productions, kind of like the Egyptian name Amra, and he had a really good video about like his gravity-fed hidden blade, and then he just made like a kind of like a simplistic one. That's the one I bought from him through a website called Shapeway, where you can upload your files and they will print it out for you, and then people could hear your version. You got a cut. So it was a lot of information. I'm still going through a lot of it and trying to process it.
Took a lot of notes.
A lot of notes. I was sitting there like typing furiously on my phone. Then I got to the point where I just started taking pictures of the presentation on the
The
screen.
slides, yeah. No, I like the one where they showed what happens if you walk away from the printer and it all
Oh.
goes wrong. It was
Was it supposed to be like this like bowl thing, and then so the thing the nib kept pumping out molten plastic, became this giant ball and just got stuck on. He just shows us this like lump. Like this intricate thing became this lump.
well, it also like
'Cause I
breaks
walked
your
away,
printer,
yeah.
so yeah.
And it broke his printer. Yeah, it took him a month to fix it. It was really fun just to see.
Yeah, and they
So.
passed around stuff they'd made and like stuff that they'd made and then got better, and everybody was playing with it. Things like functional parts. It was
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, I mean, mine's not nearly as interesting. But I think for me, having gone to a lot of the same cons now for years and years, I've never had a lot of great experience with like going to an event that I had a really good time at and then going back and having an equally, if not better, good time. Like the Firefly Shindig. We had like the best time ever the first time we went, and then we tried going again and it sucked. So like I feel like it's always like I don't want to like sophomore some event that I really had a good time at. So one of the things I'd never really gone back to was the Dragon Con Aquarium party. We went once, we had a good time, and then we just kind of never really wanted to go again. But we decided to go back this year, partially just to escape the Marriott on a Saturday night because it's way too crowded now. And it was so much fun. I'm like so glad I went back. It was like 10 times better than I expected it to be. We had so much fun. They had a great DJ. We danced like crazy. Like danced so crazy that we had to go find like a vent like somewhere in the thing and just stand under it for like a while.
Like
and
full blast AC cone just coming right at
the
you.
drinks were really good. They had a really awesome costume contest there with some really good stuff, which Jamila was actually in. We walked in and we're like, hey, we know her on stage right there.
And Patrick's friend Riddle was the judge.
Yeah.
With who's the actor who plays the nerdy kid in Breakfast Club?
I can't remember his name.
Oh, Anthony
Yeah,
Michael Hall?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was a judge too. No, wait, it wasn't him. No, that was a year ago. No, never mind.
Shoot, who
Whatever.
was it?
No.
It was a really good time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we went.
So I've every year I've been going to AB or this one year AAC. I keep hearing about cosplay chess this year, and I'm going to go to all the cosplay chess that happen anywhere near me. I had more fun at that and laughed harder than anything I've been to in a long time. And the people that were in this event, it wasn't just their cosplay that was good; they were in character, and the whole thing was just magical and a whole lot of fun.
You know, that's something that they haven't discovered here on the West Coast is cosplay chess.
Really?
Yeah. All these California cons I go to, I don't think a single one of them has done chess. I could introduce them to this.
Yeah, like
you guys all need to go to California and invade.
Yeah.
No,
They need to find something
having
else.
any of those, like,
They need to find
orchestrated
something else,
chaos.
like, cosplay checkers or something.
Oh,
I don't know. Sketch and I are a little
I don't-
biased
I
about cosplay chess.
Yeah, just 'cause that's how we met. But cosplay checkers, I'm sorry. I think the
That
crowd,
could be dangerous.
the crowd was like the kinging way too much.
Oh,
Fan service kinging.
That's when you just get like a bigger character from the same series to take the place. Like you have like Kenshiro as from Fist of the North Star as it, and then if he gets kinged, he becomes Rao and just a giant thing like that. Aaron from Attack on
Renamon,
Titan.
Digivolve 2.
Exactly. Really no idea here, folks. This is what you get on the AnimeCons TV year in review.
yeah.
All right. So next we've got our annual Better Luck Next Year award, and this is for something that didn't quite go as planned, and hopefully they can fix it for next year. And so I've got my award here. I'm going to present my award to Well, I went to two really bad conventions. I mean, really bad. I rated them 1 star on AnimeCons.com in my membership thing. It was Wizard World and Wine Country Comic Con. I'm not giving this the award. I'm not giving this award to them because I think they need to go away, and I don't want them to improve. I just want them to disappear. I am giving this award to Silicon Valley Comic Con. It was hugely popular and way overcrowded. And it's pretty clear they didn't expect the massive crowds, and they weren't equipped to handle it. Like they used RFID things to track when people went in and out, but the system wasn't reliable, and so they weren't working right, and people got backed up, and there were huge lines to get in. The panels had huge lines. It was just too crowded, and I expected the con to be crappy, but it actually was pretty good, and they had a lot of good guests, good programming. So I hope that they can figure out the crowding issue for next year and either do away with those stupid RFID things and go to normal badges, or figure out some way to fix the crowds. So Silicon Valley Comic Con, run by Steve Wozniak. This award is for you.
So mine's for Regia, which is a sci-fi fantasy convention in Boston, and I kind of saw this one coming because it's been getting bigger and bigger every year. But with their registration, they incorporated this new thing where you had to print. Each person, when you register, is sent their own unique code of contact that they have to print out and send. Because I forgot, because when was the last time you ever needed to print something out to bring it to a convention? It sounds like something you do like 10 years ago. But, they wanted everyone to sign the code of contract so that they could have it on record in case something, I forget all the details. But, I don't think it was just that. They used the same printing software that AB used to use from Stonekeep. I think that's starting to slow them down because they're reaching such a higher level of attendees where it's reaching the breaking point. And if you didn't have that form, you had to go to a certain line and print it out and then get that done. And it just was a mess. And for the first time in a long time, registration was a very long process for them. So I know they're fixing it, so I have a lot of confidence that they will fix it. But I did find out while waiting in line that if you are a blood donor and you show your blood donor ID card, because I don't like the idea of donating blood at a convention, you got to skip the line, which I will remember for next year because I do donate blood a lot because I'm O negative. So I will make sure I have that card with me so I can skip the line again. Which isn't totally the fairest thing because not everyone can donate blood, but whatever. I need to because if I'm ever in trouble and need blood, I'm screwed. But yeah, I think they can fix it. Hopefully.
I have two better luck next year's, and I know it's going to. The first one, I'm going to put a disclaimer that this is my personal opinion. Yes, I am staff for Anime Boston, but this is me talking as just my opinion is my own. This is not the opinion of the staff of Anime Boston. The metal detectors suck at Anime Boston, and the bag inspections, it slows things down, and the frustration I see is that people know that this is a requirement, that Anime Boston is required to have these, and it's frustrating to see as an attendee that the con is being required to do something and have this practice in place. But at the same time, there's not enough. There needs to be some guarantee of service that if we're going to be required to have this, you need to be more efficient. You need to have better standards of this. And I think it's an issue that the Convention Center Authority should be working on more. And realizing that, yes, so we look at the TSA and stuff, it's yeah, but that's an airport, that's a lot of millions thing. They're not looking at it as, they need to look at it in much more specific terms, not just broad, large events. So That's mine. So my award is Litton because he's not really mad; he's just disappointed in you.
Yeah, as an Anime Boston staffer, I have to totally agree. Those lines were ridiculous, and I really hope it gets sorted out. It's up to the convention center, though, and hopefully they realize their mistake.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that one because that one's mine, and and I think, and as someone who's gone for a long time, I completely appreciated that it wasn't AB's fault in any way, shape, or form. This was imposed upon them, but it was hard to not be frustrated by it nonetheless. Like Saturday, I couldn't even get in until 2 p.m, and I was staying at the convention. I knew half the people on staff, and I still couldn't get it. And to just have that happen, to watch that happen to a convention I've never had trouble getting in and out of there. And I think the thing that was most frustrating to it from an attendee perspective is it was so obviously security theater. Like it didn't make anybody any safer. Like Sketch went in with full body plated armor, and obviously he set the metal detector off, and obviously they had to let him in. He could have had like 5 guns under there, and no, it wouldn't have stopped anything from happening.
And I'll contest to that too, because I was like, all right, you can check me, like look through my armor, everything like that. They're like, no, all right, just go. And it's like, okay, well, what's the point? And then on the Friday night, I was wearing Assassin's Link, and I had everything on, and I was waiting to be inspected, and they just passed me through. Yeah. So it's like there was no consistency in it either. No. Either they like really strip searched you, and like went overboard on anything. Like if you had a paper dowel, or I looked like I was about to take on a fort.
Yeah.
And they're like, come on.
We brought that trunk in one year, trunk that you could have fit a person in. They didn't even open it. But they checked my purse that was this big. Like it's, yeah. And anyway. I think that's what it is. I think it's not even just the fact that it's delayed in lines. It's not consistent. It doesn't make sense to people. And so they get frustrated. So they need to figure something out with that.
Now that we're done with that tangent.
Yep. Yeah. But that was mine too.
Yeah. And the other one I'm just going to give a little one to is I tweeted out one photo when I was at Anime Fan Fest New Jersey, the Robotech industry panel, which had it was basically in their main events, their largest panel room. And there was maybe 8 people in the audience. And I think half of those people were there more because there was an open seat than actually interested in it. And Robotech is a big thing or used to be a big thing for a lot of people in anime, but it's really not anymore. And I don't want to say go away, but I think a lot of these conventions need to kind of rethink their strategy and really decide if the Robotech name is a draw that they think it is, because that's program space that could have been used a lot better. And I'll make sure we put the picture up here. Cool.
So before, I know Rob has a different one, but just on the flip side of mine, which is that security debacle, I did want to give really awesome props to the Anime Boston masquerade staff. They had a lot of trouble with contestants not being able to get in on time to get to their judging and to get to their rehearsal. And they were playing referee all day, running people through, getting people in, making sure people, who were nervous about competing and getting everything, made sure they got what they needed. And I think they worked overtime to make that happen. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there too, that they really did a good job of trying to negate the effects of that.
My better luck is actually for Dragon Con, specifically with the Marriott. So it wasn't actually at the convention. It was, the month later when the registration for the next year opened up. That's why it still counts for this year. So they came up with completely new rules for getting a hotel room at the Marriott for Dragon Con. Everyone needs to be listed right away. You have a 2-night deposit to make the reservation.
Used to be 1, right?
It used to be 1, used to be none. They also said that once the reservation's made, it cannot be edited whatsoever. And these are just the big main ones. There's a whole laundry list of stuff that is now the criteria for getting a hotel room for Dragon Con. Now, the reason why I give them the better luck next year is because it's not Marriott's fault. I found out. So the reason why is that everyone has reward points, and I was logged into my Marriott account, and when I made the reservation, it changed the website so I couldn't fill in who else would be in the room. And so I'm like, okay, well, this might be an issue, down the line. Like it's only one person name. I wanted to abide by their rules and their laws. And so I called up the local Marriott and they said, oh, we can't change your reservation whatsoever. I'm like, well, it's not really changing. I'm giving you the information. And so this led to me actually calling Marriott Corporate. Now I'm going to get done. Marriott Corporate, and they were sitting there going, oh, is this for Dragon Con? I don't get that convention. No other convention has these rules. So I'm giving Dragon Con a better luck next year about figuring out the rules to be a little bit more lenient.
It's weird that
I
they
don't think
have
it's
those.
them though. It has to be the specific hotel because then they'd have the same things at all the hotels. I mean, the Sheraton, not this year, last year had going in like for booking for 2016, you had to put down the entire stay
And it was
up front.
non-refundable.
Unrefundable. The entire stay. That's like $1,000. And it's
Well,
like,
Yeah.
what the hell, Sheridan?
Basically, how I found out it works is Dragon Con makes contracts with each one, and then each hotel's negotiation is whatever it ends up being. But with Marriott specifically, Marriott didn't want these like not able to change reservations because their things happen. They know people can get through, but Dragon Con really restricted them on that. So it's kind of one of the hearsay. But like,
Well, my
Hey,
guess
in my
is
car,
they
that's
don't
not true.
want
Like they
selling.
know how much.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get into it, but I bet I don't. I think that's because hotels are independently owned. I think
Yeah.
they mean it's that hotel that's doing it because Dragon Con knows how much the hotel situation sucks, and I think they'd prefer not to have it at all.
From basically talking, because I even wrote Dragon Con and they didn't really have all that great. But I want to give them the Golden Foot and Ass Award.
And Rue, do you have a better luck next year?
I do, and I was really proud of my trophy until I wasn't. So I'm going to go with this obsolete video card that I found on my floor.
Floor card. Beautiful.
Yeah, floor card. Get yours today. Bangor Comic and Toy Con. They have somehow figured out how to get some fairly big name guests and an okay dealer's room without any other logistics whatsoever. They're 5 miles from the University of Maine, so they could fill this convention center they're in. If they do a little planning and get staff from the local area instead of planning this thing from I think Ohio, they could do a lot better. And I want to have another con. I'm up in the woods in Maine. We have PortCon, and then I have to drive to at least Massachusetts to really do anything. I want them to succeed. So seriously, guys, better luck next time, and please do better. I want you to do better. I'll give you this.
All right, and so the last thing we have, and I think we can just blast right through this quick, is the favorite convention of 2016. Mine is BlizzCon. I haven't been since 2012. They skipped 2013, and I had to go virtually the last 2 years. But it's so well done, and it's always a ton of fun if you play Blizzard games. Overwatch has completely taken over and kind of pushed Warcraft and Starcraft out, but it's so well done. There's so much going on. They really need to expand to 3 days to fit in all the tournaments and all the content they have. They already
It's
fill
only
up.
2 days.
It's only two. It's Friday and Saturday.
What?
Yeah, that's odd that it's not Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, Friday and Saturday. They need to expand to Sunday, and yeah, if you like Blizzard games, try and get a ticket. It's impossible because they sell out in seconds, but if you can go, go.
Well, mine was PAX East again. And just because it's mine every year, I'm gonna pick an honorable mention. Is to Plastic City Comic Con, which was that 1-day convention in Leominster. It was at this like senior center like event space that was, oh my God, like it couldn't have been more than, what's the size of my house? It couldn't have been more than like 1,500 square feet, maybe 2,000 square feet. But it was somehow jam-packed with vendors, and there were a lot of people there. and they had more people selling comics than some of the like comic book conventions I went to that were like in big convention centers. So that was pretty cool. And they are gonna go back next year. They're gonna be in a different location, a bigger location. Is that like an ice rink in Fitchburg? So maybe they'll have Yuri on Ice stuff.
An ice rink? What?
It's at an ice rink apparently that has a I've never been there. I didn't even know it existed, and it's in a town next to mine. But it
Was it
apparently
involved?
has a big function space that they can hold an event at. So as long as I don't have anything else that would take me away from it, like a wedding or something, I will totally be there. I'm really looking forward to it because they did a really good job with the first show. They did have to start charging admission. It's like $3, maybe $2.
Oh no, $3. Oh.
$3. Yeah, they said they might have to start charging admission. I'm like, okay, they'll probably charge like 10, 15, $20. And they're like $3. I'm like, why don't you just round it up to 5 so you don't have to worry about running out of ones for change?
They're essentially charging an ATM fee.
Pretty much. So I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it.
I didn't have one this year. I mean, I usually try to pick like my favorite for the year based on kind of more like my feelings of how it went. And I feel like all three of our major conventions this year, I had an equal amount of fun at. None of them stood out for any point this year, but that means nothing bad really, really happened. So I'll call that a win.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna say just by a sneak ahead, I was actually gonna say AB only because it was the first year where I really like held back. I didn't like overload myself with so many things, like a lot of the cosplay events, and so I was actually able to sit down and like kind of fall in love with the con again a little bit. And I really, despite the lines and whatnot, I had more memories from that convention than the other two.
All right. Mine actually for once is not Otakon this year. I know that's a little shocking, but I'm going to actually say Anime Fan Fest in New Jersey. Because it was technically a first year con, but the organizers have been doing other events and stuff. The attendee population was really friendly. They got a lot of interesting people. Like they got Daryl Surratt, Mike Toole, a bunch of people that knew stuff to do good, really interesting, well done panels. The space worked for what it was. I saw some vendors that I hadn't seen before, so they had really interesting stuff, like when they were trying to, like old stuff, like when they were trying to sell manga in like American comic book form, some stuff like that. And it didn't feel like it did anything really out of the ordinary. It just did everything well. And I really want to get back to it because it worked out really well. And I had a really good time, so I hope I get to go back to that one, and I hope it continues on the path it's on.
Mine was another anime con. It's my first time going to that convention. I had a really nice time. It's been a while since I've gone to a convention. We did a little work filming, but we really also, if you guys haven't gone, Murphy's Tap Room is one block away. Improved my time at this event. Yeah, there's this hard cider called How About Them Apples. It's 14.5%. You all need to come so we can all go there. The con was good too. Booze was also.
I feel like that con's gotten so much better than it used to be. Yeah, because we had gone before. I've gone on and off. Because fall is usually a really tough time for me to get to conventions because of marching band stuff. But I think they've definitely gotten a lot better.
That's good to hear too, because I remember when I first started going, like 07, I really enjoyed it, and then in the middle there, I didn't really like it so much. So it's nice to see it's back on the upswing.
I have not been since the move, but I would like to. I should give it another chance, especially since I do go to Granite State Comic Con, which is in the same space.
The location saves it because if you're bored and you're gonna have anything to do, you're right in the middle of downtown Manchester, which is like beautiful. And go walk down to like the Red Arrow Diner at least.
Yeah, I liked that location when they were there in 2006, and then 2007. It's like and then the con just kind of went downhill for me. But from everything I've heard from a variety of people, it seems to have significantly improved. So that's good to hear.
Remember 2006.
The
We're done with the
consistency I've heard
masquerade.
from a lot of people is how much better it was.
The 2006 Sketch and I were there.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're done with the masquerade, and I just turned to Patch and I go, bar? And he goes, bar.
Yeah.
I think Shiva and I met at AAC in 2007.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did.
You're like, here's Jima from the forums. I'm like, you're Stardust, whatever you used to be called.
Where's the two?
All right. I guess that does it for our year in review. And that does it for season 8 of AnimeCons TV. Yeah, 8 seasons.
Holy
Wow.
crap.
Huh.
You've put up with us for that long?
That's not possible.
All right, and yeah, that's it. So hope everybody subscribes so I can meet the prediction for next year and have 1,000 subscribers. Tell all your friends. You know, we don't just cover anime conventions. In 2017, I'm going to do another report from Gallifrey 1. I'm going to go back to Nerdtacular, and I know there's going to be a lot of other cool stuff along the way. So stay tuned, and thanks everyone for watching, and thanks to you guys for being part of this.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Ooh.
We'll see you guys
I
next
think
year.
only Doug got that reference.
All right, bye.